Inshallah.
Greetings, greetings. We ought to be live right now. Let me just go over to YouTube and check if we are live, because I have hit the live button. And yes, indeed, we are live. Greetings, greetings, family. Sister Shanice in the house for another Wednesday evening live show, discussion, debate. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Looking forward to our family coming in and joining us this evening. As you can see, we have our wonderful, wonderful guest in the house already rearing to go, our queen, Mama Desta. We are honored. We are delighted to have you in the house, Mama Desta. How are you today?
Oh, I'm giving thanks, and your energy is giving me energy, and I'm really, really happy. Thank you for having me, Sister Shanice.
Oh, it's an honor. It's an honor indeed. And, you know, it's quite late at night where you are at the moment. Do you want to just maybe mention where you are in the world and the time that it is?
Absolutely. We're live here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, East Africa, the mountaintop, and it's 11 p.m. Our time here. So, but it's always a good time for family to gather and see how we can strengthen one another. So, love to everyone from Addis Ababa.
Thank you so much. One of those countries in the continent that we all ought to try and visit during our lifetime, because, you know, it is of such historical importance, isn't it, to us as Africans? So, wow, wow, wow. It's wonderful that you're there. And we can hear a distinctive Jamaican accent coming through there as well. So we will talk about a bit more about you in a little while. We'll just give our audience a moment or two to come through the door. So family, as you come through the door, please do let us know that you are watching us live. Let us know where in the world that you're watching us from. Really want to hear. I'm looking also at YouTube Live, and yeah, I can see that we've got some family members coming in the house. We've got Africa Reimagined. First one in the house. Welcome, welcome. Greetings, Africa Reimagined. Glad to have you in the house. Let us know where in the world you are viewing us from. We've got Black Acres of the Gambia, one of my favorite families here in the Gambia, and a website that a YouTube channel, family, for you to check out. If you want to know what life is like in the Gambia, check out Black Acres, doing big things. And we've got Sylvia in the house. Rise up, Sister Sylvia, watching us from Jackson, MS. Wow, we've got the Jamaican Drumker in the house. Welcome, Jamaican Drumker. He's saying greetings from up top. And Africa Reimagined is saying, damn, Ethiopia shall stretch forth her hand unto God. Africa must unite. You see what Ethiopia does? Just the name Ethiopia just brings out, you know, this another level of energy. Rise up, Africa Reimagined. And we've got Nyot in the house saying, I love see you, my queens, watching from Seattle in the USA. And it's 1 p.m. over there. Oh, thank you for joining us. Afrijamo is in the house saying, greetings, Sister Shanice panel, my real African brothers and sisters in the chat watching from Ghana. Welcome, welcome. And yes, our brother Africa Reimagined is watching us from Ghana as well. So family, as you come through the door, yeah, drop us a message in the chat. Let us know where in the world you are. And please use the chat to post your comments, your questions that you may have and want to put to us during the shows that we've got lined up for you today. S.A. Smith, we welcome you all the way from Houston, Texas. Woo, woo, woo. We've got some beautiful African brothers and sisters in the house from different parts of the world. And that's really the essence of our conversation today, actually. We're going to be focusing in on us, the diaspora, the Africans who are scattered around the world. You know, some as a result of that really horrific, barbaric, so-called slave trade that, you know, affected millions of us. And some of us, you know, are scattered around the world because that's where we were and have been as the indigenous people for tens of thousands of years, despite what they may want to have us think. But yes, as a people, we are global, and the global family is coming together. Social media is making it possible. Chilling with my sister all the way in Ethiopia. Wow, wow, wow. And I just want to rise up, Sister Dalia, my sis. I just want to thank you so much, you know, because it was your show that I was watching. And Sister Mahala, rather, her channel is Connect Africa channel. Check out Connect Africa channel. She had our beautiful Mama Desta on, and I was watching that show, and Mama Desta was talking about the new diaspora flag and her role in the African Union and all the works that's going on. I'm like, what? You know, we need to have this sister on the show because my audience would really love to hear from her. So, Sister Mahala, rise up yourself every time. More love, more voodoo power to you, my sis. And to all of you who have been tuning in to me on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi, the only de-brainwashing station, thank you so, so much. For those of you who haven't, wow, you've been missing some shows from the beginning of the year. Yeah, we've been focusing on our history. And basically, as we know, a vast amount of our history has been hidden from us. And there's a considerable amount of misinformation, and where our history is concerned, deception, and it's been whitewashed and concealed. And what we've been doing, we've been uncovering, you know, our history. We've been rebutting the lies. We've been bringing the evidence. We've been bringing new information. Our people have been doing the research. I've been having guests on the show for the last few strongs as well. And we have been unearthing some truths about our history and family. These truths will knock you off your feet. You'll be like, no. And it's like, yeah. And you'll be like, no. And it's the truth. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, make sure you check out my radio shows every Wednesday, 10 a.m. GMT time, live on the Big G Galaxy Afiwi, the only de-brainwashing station. When I get a chance, I'll actually post the link in the chat. And family, we've got a great lineup of shows coming your way. Let me see if I can share screen and, just remind you of what we've got coming up for you. So as you should be able to see here, and we've got our beautiful queen, Mama Desta, tonight, Wednesday, the 16th of March. Next strong, we've got Andrew Muhammad, a formidable man in our community here in the UK, doing amazing works. He's a Black history historian. He specializes in education. He's an author. He's a film critic. He runs 2 schools over here where he focuses on our children and uplifts them to another level. We've got him in the house Wednesday the 23rd. Then we've got our brother Naya Imara, who's the CEO of the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools. Wow, doing some amazing works in our community. So he's going to be coming up on Wednesday the 30th. Then we've got none other than our brother Leo Muhammad, community activist, religious leader, public speaker, comedian, big man Botia, Leo Muhammad. We'll rise him up. He's going to be with us on Wednesday the 6th of April. Help us to put the word out. And you asked for it, family. You said to us, what about the discussions that you used to have on the panels? You know, bring back the panels. So we've got our live panel discussion and Q&A with some of our leading community commentators on issues that impact us as a community. We've got Sister Sheila, Dr. Abu, Brother Jammers, Brother Kwame Gonza. Wow. You know that's going to be off the hook. Then Leader Bandaka, oh my days, he blew us away the other day. He's going to be coming now with, I think it's about part 4 in his series of shows where we're focusing on, you know, our revolutionary leaders that were toppled, you know, by the CIA, and as well as collaborators from within our own ranks. And we're exposing those collaborators, especially those that are still alive today and enjoying the fruits of the wickedness that they were engaged in when they were toppling our revolutionary leaders. And we're talking, you know, so we're, oh my days, just check out his last show. that he did last strong. It's there on YouTube. So he'll be back on the 20th of April. Then we're going over to the USA, family. We've got Dr. Reverend Shock Matthews, founding minister of the First Frequency. Oh my days, that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. He talks about first frequency, second frequency, third and fourth frequency people. If you don't know what that's all about, you are going to be finding out on the 27th of April. Then we've got our brother Franklin Jones, who's the author of The Black Matrix. Yes, he tells us about the psychological warfare that has been waged against us as Africans via their propaganda machinery. Family. Rising up, brother Franklin Jones. He has been on the Sister Shanice show before in the past, and delighted to have him back again. Just checking that you're looking at what I'm looking at. Then we bring back our panel discussion again in May, and then we have another historian from the USA, Dr. Clyde Winters. Wow. Teacher, author, educationalist, psychologist, historian, linguistic, phenomenal. He's going to be bringing some history, because we're continuing, family, to uncover our history and to tell our story ourselves and to change the narrative. Then we've got Professor Kaba coming. Most of you will remember him from Hidden Colors. Wow. Highly acclaimed African historian. Privileged again. We are family, just honored to have, such wonderful people gracing our platform. Dr. Marie Charles. Oh my days, just came across her on Reverend Shock's channel. She was there with Dr. Winters. She has been doing some research, family, for the last 5 years into our existence in Europe. And she's looking at the Black presence in Ireland in particular and other parts of Europe. And family, she's got a huge amount of evidence that she's been compiling and has documented in a series of books. And we're going to be speaking with her in June. Looking forward to all of that. And I'm privileged to be the host of all of that there. Wow. So don't go anywhere. From Wednesday come. From you see Wednesday come, family. Oh, no, where for do? Yeah, just tell everybody. Wednesday live, 8 o'clock. I don't want to be anywhere else other than live on YouTube for the Sister Shanice show. Well, I've raveled on enough, I think, and I've given you time enough to come through the door. So really hoping, family, that, you're in the house and getting ready to hear from my guests. Let me go over to the chat, see what's going on. Rise up. Yes, we got Time to Succeed in the house. Rising up, Sister Verna in the house. Yeah. Sister Afro Jamo, rise up the Jamaican Jankra. Yes, love chats going on there. And we got Jay in the house greeting us from Ghana. We got Kimani in the house rising up the family. We've got Itana in the house greeting us from Queens in the UKKK. No, she's greeting the Queens. Thank you, Itana. I wonder if that's my same Itana, the beautiful sister who's been assisting me to put together the wonderful lineup of artists that I've just had the privilege of reading. Now, if it is, big up yourself, Sister Itana. Enough love and respect to you, my sis. Wow. Berchek in the house. I'm going to be coming back to the chat in a little while, okay? But I don't want to take up too much time because it is quite late there in Ethiopia. And we are privileged and we are honored to have our special guest in the house, ready to interact with us. So, let me go over to our beautiful sister, Mama Desta. Mama Desta.
Give thanks. No, I'm so happy to be here and excited to really be amongst the type of guests that you have. So I'm really happy to my daughter, Mahalet Ayele, for linking us together. That's what Africa Connect does, yeah?
Ashe. Rise up again, my sis Malay. Mama Desta, it may be that there are many of our audience members that didn't see that show, maybe haven't met you before. So we're just going to have you introduce yourself to the Sister Shanice Show audience. Please
Sure.
introduce yourself.
Thanks. Well, Mama Desta, I've given birth to 10 children. That's one of my biggest claims to fame. Simply because bringing life into this world and raising them to be conscious, generous human beings is, to me, the most powerful thing that we can do as parents, as mothers, and so forth. So I always kind of lead with that, plus my 14 grands. But I hold a Juris Doctorate. So I'm a jurist, I'm an activist. I have been one since I was a teenager, from I moved from Jamaica to the United States and confronted racism as a tween. That set me on my path of activism. And here now at the age of 60, I've been living in Casanches, which is in the center of Addis Ababa. So from Kingston to Casanches over the past 16 years. But working and living on the continent since 1992. I've had such a rich and blessed life, spent, decades in the entertainment industry, again, as an activist, using the arts to spread messages of liberation, redemption, repatriation, working with such artists as Nana Rita, Marley, Augustus Pablo, Israel Vibrations, etc. And I've served in academia. I've done so much, but currently, my current situation, I am an author. I've authored a children's book called I Love Locks, which is one of the things that we do in terms of empowerment and education, starting with the children. But I'm also a creative consultant living here in Addis, where we're using the arts to push issues from social justice to reintegration of the African diaspora, which feeds very well into the post that I have and I've held for the last maybe 14 years with the Diaspora Africa Forum, which is the liaison to the African Union. The Diaspora Africa Forum is based in Accra, Ghana. That's our headquarters. And we have full diplomatic status, first and only African Diaspora organization with that status, with that recognition. We are recognized by the African Union and have an MOU with them to agitate. So, I'm a servant. Essentially, I'm a servant. I'm a mama and I'm a servant. So happy to share anything that we can to help strengthen our family in developing strategies for our reintegration and recognition.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction about yourself. And beautiful, 10 children. Oh, my days. Absolutely amazing. Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful. And 14 grandchildren. Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And, you talked about your background in the field of arts. And, you mentioned Rita Marley, because I see here, yes, you have been involved in the reggae industry. You were involved in the reggae industry to a large extent, in a big way in Jamaica. You worked alongside some major icons there. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that and maybe drop some more names as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I did that when I was in the States, but they were mostly Caribbean artists, and Sonny Okosun, who was from Nigeria, and Meditations, Judy Mowat. It was really incredible to have them all come together when I served as the managing director for the Bob Marley Foundation, and we hosted Africa Unite, Bob Marley's 60th birthday here, in 2005, and to have 250,000 people come together. And we had Angelique Kidjo here at the time too, and Yvonne Shaka Shaka. But what was really important, in addition to songs of freedom and strength and redemption were the discussions that we had. You know, many times we don't know how important it is to use the soft power of our arts community. A singer, a painter, because I am working more in the fine art industry now with painters, sculptors, etc. here in Africa. But the power that one image has, or one song, or one line, or one poem is profound and powerful and can go a whole lot farther than a speaker standing up and, you know, whether it's a TED talk or whatever. So it's important for creatives, producers, promoters, curators like myself, to work in a network that supports artists that are indeed pushing these messages, to raise the consciousness level and even to raise the sense of urgency and activity within society.
For real, my sis, also Mama Desta. Yes, indeed, because, you know, I just went back to some of my early raving days and I was being educated by the music as I was partying. I was hearing tunes like, no, I remember, Marcos
Okay.
You have to say, Marcos and then you go and check him out, you know? And holy tunes that just brought some powerful messages about our history, about our culture, about who we are, about the issues that are impacting on us. Yes, and when I went to Zimbabwe and I met some of the veterans who fought in the Bush War, they said it was the music of Bob Marley that kept them going, you know, when they were fighting for when they were fighting the Liberation War. They told us that with their own mouths, my sister. So yes, the power of music can't be underestimated.
Absolutely. And we had a similar experience in Robben Island in South Africa. When I was in academia, I served as the managing director for the Center for Race and Race Relations at the University of Florida's Law School. So during the summers, we would go to the University of Cape Town law faculty and take our students over to Robben Island to understand human rights from the ground, you know, not just a book experience. And we were told by the guides, and what's happened, many who were ex-prisoners are now the guides in Robben Island, and they uttered the same sound. It was the music, Marley's music, reggae music. It was the rhythm. It was what drive. And, you know, that is the case in Africa and worldwide. We've talked, you know, during Viet Cong, you know, Vietnamese that have shared similar stories. So the power of the music is so important. I used the term before, soft power. Many times people mistake it with diplomacy, and there is a part of diplomacy that indeed looks at soft power. But soft power is what I recognize within civil society. We don't have positions necessarily or titles as minister or government. We can't change policies, but we can push, we can effectuate change through our activism. And that's where soft power lies, pushing and pushing and pushing with our voices, you know?
Yes, yes. And my sis, you're also a citizen of Ghana. So, you know, you mentioned about the organization's headquarters being in Ghana. So you've obviously had, you know, sown some seeds there as well. Do you want to share with us a little bit about, because it's all to do with, you know, what we as the diaspora, you know, could be going to Africa and maybe doing. So it's great to know what some of our, you know, mothers are doing on the continent. So Ghana.
Yes, no, absolutely. And Ghana is my ancestral home, you know, coming out of the Caribbean, coming out of Jamaica. Obviously, I'm not Arawak. You know, we were brought there. This is a fact. And so Ghana has always played a special role within both the narrative of Pan-Africanism and just in terms of returning home, the Black Star, you know, all of that. But most of my work started in Ghana through the Rita Marley Foundation, with Nana Rita Marley, who, I mean, she is our poster child. She is really the key individual when you talk about an African woman, especially in the reggae industry, that packed up her bag and pan, if you will, and went home and said, let me set a foundation here. And so in doing so, there were several of us within her team, within the clan, that went and assisted and strengthened. And so, you know, I started from 1999 doing that. And when the opportunity came around through Ambassador Kwesi Kwartey, who's a staunch Pan-Africanist, and he served as the previous deputy.
Oh, our sister has frozen. Hopefully she will be back with us very, very soon. Our sister has frozen, but don't worry, family. I'm sure that will get sorted out very soon. So yeah, we was just hearing the role of Rita Marley in encouraging and inspiring the family to come back home. And wow, absolutely interesting story we was having there before our sister actually froze. So what I'll do, let me go over to the chat. Let me see who else is in the house. And then hopefully our sister will be able to find us back again. Okay, so she's probably going to go out and come back in again. So family, we're talking to Mama Desta at the moment, who's linking us all the way from Ethiopia. So the line went just then, but our sister will be reconnecting with us as soon as she can. Fantastic. Mama Desta is back with us. Welcome back, Mama Desta. We lost you for a brief moment there. Can you hear us? Okay, Mama Desta is just reconnecting with us now. Just let me know, Mama Desta, when you can hear me. Are you hearing me?
Give thanks. I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, the quality seems to have dropped though. The connection isn't as good as it was.
But I'm not able to see you.
Okay, yeah, your image has frozen on the screen. You may need to go out and come back in again. So, but we can see you. We can see you. But unfortunately, you've frozen. Okay, so Mama Desta is going to reconnect with us, family. So let's see who we've got in the chat. Oh, Mama Desta, you're back. And now I'm not hearing you.
Okay, I have unmuted.
Yes,
Voice.
yes, you're black now with us.
Very
beautiful.
Good, very good.
Oh, please continue. You were sharing a wonderful story about Rita Marley.
Yes, and so that was the test case, you know, because Ghana has had this right of abode policy for decades, but it's not been activated for many, many bureaucratic reasons. So one of the strategies was, at least if we set the precedent with this citizenship for Nana Rita, who was certainly quite worthy after investing so much within specifically the village of Konkonuru and the Aburi region. So once that was set, we were able, after her, to go back now, and 34 of us were then recognized, you know, but DAF played a very supportive role. We were not the lead necessarily. And this is the beauty of the work that we do within the African diaspora. We all need to be involved. It's heavy lifting. So one cocoa will fill the basket. You know, we all have to play our role. We're not competing with each other. We're strengthening each other. So the 34 of us were recognized, and now what followed after that during the year of return, over 100 were given citizenship. Now, the caveat is that the priority is given to those who have been living in Ghana and contributing to the country. So you do have to be able to fill out we filled out a form that looked at what are your contributions and so forth. And certainly, although I do not permanently reside in Ghana, I permanently reside in Addis, I work still with the Ghana embassy here and continue to advocate and do work where Ghana is concerned. So I'm very humbled and honored that I was able to get that. And that Ghana passport is an ECOWAS passport. So in terms of the ECOWAS region of Africa, the West African region, we're allowed entrance into all of the West African countries, be it Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia, all of that with that ECOWAS passport. So it's really an honor and a privilege. And as President Mahama said when he gave it to us, he said, you know, you deserve this. You know, you as in the people, the African people of the diaspora, this is your birthright, you know. But I also want to juxtapose that to what has happened here in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia actually has a long history of engaging with the African diaspora from the time of Emperor Menelik II. Now, we know that we all look to Menelik II, Empress Taitu, and Ethiopia in terms of the victory of Adwa against the Italian forces, right, in 1896. But what was happening shortly after that? Because 1896, remember now, by now, we do have Pan-Africanism that has been seeded and it's beginning to grow. But this particular act gave a signal to the Black world that, yes, we can defeat colonial powers, you know. Now, backing up again, this happened before in Haiti, right? Toussaint Louverture, we know we had a success, but that was not on the continent, right? So that's the distinction there. So what happened shortly after Adwa, we had Emperor Menelik II had a doctor from Guadeloupe. He had a delegate from Haiti that came. And within the next 20, 30 years, we had people like Abbey Ford, Arnold J. Ford, and his wife that had established roots here, amongst others, in Ethiopia. But the point is that from the time of even Emperor Menelik II, there was a recognition and acknowledgement of Africans in the diaspora. And so with Emperor Haile Selassie now came the land grant, right? Again, for Black people of the West. It was never specifically for the Rastafari movement, although the Rastafari movement have been the majority holding and maintaining the land grant for the most part. That land grant was for Black people of the West as a show of appreciation love, you know, for the support that was done. Because you remember, again, when the Italians came in after 1935, the Black world rallied once again. So I'm saying all of that to say what has happened since then. The early settlers, up until those that may have come, like myself, over the last 16, 17 years, have been lobbying, agitating with the government of Ethiopia for legal status, because many came, you know, in the 1950s and 60s and burnt their passports. It's like, I'm not going anywhere. Don't want nothing from nobody. I reach home. You know, however, in reality, you can't move now. There is no documentation that allows you to purchase land to be able to hold a job, because you need legal status. This is anywhere in the world. So finally, I was asked with the Shashamane diaspora community and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, maybe in 2011, 12, to do a policy paper, a draft policy paper as to what this integration looks like, you know? And so again, here is another in for us. Many of the things that we want, we're saying we want this, but it's not on the radar. We have to craft it. We have to curate it, right? Present it. So this is what we did. And in 2013, when it was the 50th anniversary of the OAU/AU, we were able to have a major delegation that came from Jamaica. The Prime Minister at the time, oh my gosh, help me with it.
Can we get help from the audience? Let's ask the audience.
Come. Is there? Bear with me. It's 11:30. The brains are, you know. But so
the Jamaican jumper in the house. You can help. What's the name of the prime minister who was reigning in Jamaica during what time?
2013. The female, our sister.
Oh, Portia.
Portia Simpson.
Yes.
It's Babsy was on my tongue. Babsy Grange was on my tongue, but I know it wasn't Babsy, the minister. So anyway, when she came, she met with the Jamaican community. And matter of fact, most of the Rastafari, regardless of where they were from, came and met, because Jamaica tends to be the go-to, if you will, you know, because of the relationship that they do have with Ethiopia and so forth. So we sat with her and presented this paper that was given to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So she then gave it again to the now Prime Minister Haile Mariam, who was then, Melissa had just passed, and pushed it, got tweaked a little, and then about 3 years ago, it was finally passed by Parliament, and over maybe 200 undocumented and those living here in Ethiopia for over 10 years received their permanent residency status.
Oh, brilliant work.
You know?
So the importance of policy, strategy, you know, getting the right people on board. Wow.
It's a lot of work. And, you know, for me, the pivot has been interesting because when you're an activist, you're on the field, right? Yeah. You're with the community, civil society, you're doing it. But when you are at the table now, and when you are called to be there, you have to use different strategies. And sometimes you have to move with stealth-like, you know, precision. Because when you have an opportunity, you don't have the time to go back to 10 million and people say, what you think about this? What you think about that? But most of all, what they want and need is within me. We have the same story. We have the same genetic memory. We have the same compass leading us and guiding us back to our African self. So, you know, we as activists on the front line need to be trusted by our brothers and sisters in order to continue doing what it is that we do. And mind you, we may not see it because policy, again, it's soft work, right? But you will see it in terms of the changes that are made when you've been here in this country, and you can now go and submit paperwork to become a permanent resident, or in the case of Ghana, to be able to become a citizen based on the criteria there. So these are the kinds of things that not just the Diaspora Africa Forum and us within our own rights as activists, but all diaspora organizations, whether on the continent or off, are essential to really, again, not just the repatriation, but the reintegration. And this is a term that we really try to coin and push, reintegration of our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are many brothers and sisters who are returning to the continent, not just Ethiopia and Ghana. I'm here in the Gambia. There's people returning to Tanzania, people returning to various African countries. You know, I wonder if you could tell us really, you know, from the conversations that you've been having at the African Union level as a representative for the organization that you're part of, you know, where is the African Union at the moment in terms of recognizing the fact that, you know, as Africans in the diaspora, there are many who want to return home, and there needs to be, you know, some kind of machinery or process in place that can facilitate that return and, like you say, very importantly, that integration, because it's kind of happening independently, really, on a one-to-one basis. But, you know, it ought to be part of a global scheme, because as one of our brothers on our radio station would say, Dr. Abu, we were taken out en masse, you know, so our return should even be organized en masse. You know, what are there any sentiments, any discussions? Where are we at with that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such an important question. But there's a couple of facts that have to match up with this sentiment, and also the fact that we were taken out, you know, in masses, right? Masses do not necessarily want to return, but that does not mean that there should not be some type of policy infrastructure to receive and again reintegrate us if we choose to come home. So let's unpack this a little bit. First of all, as we know, the continent is 55 nation states, countries. The African Union is simply the secretariat for the 55 nation states. They do not make decisions. They are responsible for implementing the decisions that are made by all 55 member states. And just like our individual families, you know, your household, your priorities, your budget, your concerns are different than even your sister's household. If we look at countries as households, therefore, the way your household deals with budget issues or priorities is going to be different, right, than your sisters. So similarly, this is what is happening on the continent. Each country is forming and shaping their own diaspora policies and how they plan to integrate their diaspora, be it their contemporary diaspora, meaning their citizens who have gone abroad for employment, for education, for exile, whatever it may be. That is indeed the priority. Now, let me back up 10 years. And our brothers and sisters can look this up. The African Union had what was called the Global African Diaspora Summit. It was held in July in South Africa, in Johannesburg, in 2012. Now, that meeting was the culmination of several consultative meetings and several ministerial meetings to decide how are we going to recognize and integrate the diaspora, and what is the diaspora. And of course, that is where the terminology, the sixth region, came about, understanding that in the continent, we have the 5 regions of East, West, North, South, and Central. And those 5 regions consist of countries I mentioned before, ECOWAS, we've got SADC and so forth. So the 6th region includes everything outside the continent where we may be. So that's sort of the structure that we look at. Now, what does that mean, and how do we fit into this lovely paperwork and all these wonderful words that was said about the ICU, right? I see you. So when you look at the declaration, because there is a declaration that came out of that meeting, it looks at how there would be political, economic, cultural, and social integration and activities. There are things like even our diaspora mission, setting up Africa houses all over the world. So we have presence. And certainly here, even on the continent, African diaspora spaces, where again, we can learn about the history of each other and what we have gone through, whether in the UK, whether in the United States, whether in the Caribbean, South America, etc. Because it's important to get to know each other again. And also to prove how strong this African DNA is, how we retained so much knowledge, braiding of the hair, a woman standing with her hand on the hip, right? You know, I mean, there's so many things that is just in us that we weren't necessarily taught, and as a matter of fact was beaten out of us during slavery, beaten out of us, right? Murdered, lynched. Even today, there may not be as much as the same physical beating, but the mental, psychological, economic beating that we get is in line with the whips that slave master used to put against our back, if we're being frank. That said, the African Union moved to recognize and embrace the sixth region gave us now an opportunity to engage. The problem is that mechanisms have not been properly activated. So within the African Union, as I said before, that is the secretariat for all the 55 nation states that gather here in Addis Ababa every January, where they make decisions, and then followed by another meeting in typically July. But these decisions cannot include the sixth region because we're not at the table. So two things are happening. One, CARICOM has now begun to officially engage the African Union. And it is our hope that CARICOM will be sort of that secretariat or that hub for the sixth region, because it's the largest bloc of Black countries, governing themselves, sovereign and so forth, that can engage on that level. So we're hoping that something substantive will come. There was a meeting in August, I believe, that brought again the AU and CARICOM together. So that was very substantive. Now, there's also CEDAW. CEDAW is one of the appendages within the African Union, because there's several organizations associated to the African Union. You have the Pan-African Parliament, you have NEPAD, but for the African diaspora, two are outstanding. One is CEDAW, and that's Civil Society and Diaspora Organization. And that is the entry point. So anything that we want done within the African Union, or any engagement that CEDAW wants to have. For instance, we've been involved in trainings with African member states on how to sensitize them regarding the diaspora. What are the issues? What are the challenges? And it has led to the development of somewhat of a report card for each African state based on this survey that we pulled together. And I served on that committee. Based on this survey, they can check themselves, not necessarily to say, yes, we're doing best or worst or whatever, but to assess where the points are that they need help, that CEDAW can come in with other diaspora groups and help to strengthen member states and their relationship. Again, keep in mind, though, that most of them are focused on their contemporary diaspora. So our job when we're at that table is to always insert the narrative of the historical diaspora. So that is one avenue in CEDAW. And again, they're based right here in the secretariat in Addis Ababa. The other entry point is through Ecosoc. And Ecosoc is the economic, cultural, and social arm, if you will, of the African Union, again aimed at civil society, mostly on the continent, but within their constitution, there were supposed to be 20 seats reserved for the African diaspora. Now, we did serve, we were appointed as ad hoc, myself and matter of fact, Ambassador David Commisong, who also is with CARICOM and a great advocate for reparations, for reintegration. And so we served together on Ecosoc, but as ad hoc, which means we had no voting power. Well, Ecosoc is now, the secretariat is now in Zambia. It used to be here in Addis Ababa also. And that is another place for us to lobby to ensure as civil society in the diaspora that we have a voice and we are able to engage. Now, all of that said, some of the things that I feel and we've lobbied for that were really important are symbolic but significant. So we've said, for instance, when a tragedy, whether injustice or even a horrible, hurricane, whatever it may be, natural disaster happens to people of color, the African Union can send a letter of support, of solidarity. We were part of the team that lobbied in the George Floyd case for the AU to say something. and they did issue a statement. So there are symbolic things that mean a lot, but it's time for substance, which means we need to understand how exactly is the sixth region going to be integrated. So I revert back to the CARICOM discussion and platform as an important entry point, because again, the AU is a government institution. It does not cater to, nor does it entertain civil society, be it continental or non-continental, unless you go through CEDO or some of its respective commissions, social affairs, infrastructure, etc.
Wow, thank you so much for that, my sis. And as you were speaking, I was thinking, how do people from the diaspora actually feed into that on a practical level? How do we get our voices heard? Because we've heard of these, quite high-level organizations, governmental organizations, but that most of us, probably are not connected to. But nevertheless, as the diaspora, millions and millions of us outside of Africa, how do we practically get our voices heard? That is, part of the question. The other part is that, is there a kind of structure in place at a local level, at a grassroots level, that the diaspora can feed into, so that we can be, a feeder into those recognized organizations that are already part of those bodies? And not taking anything away from what you said about us having Pan-Africanists at the helm, who we have confidence in. Absolutely fantastic, but sometimes, we just need that extra pressure, on these organizations so that they can be more responsive. Sending a letter is fine, but, for example, the recent situation that's going on in Ukraine, you would have expected the African Union to have been, pivotal in organizing or helping to assist the African countries in some way to coordinate an airlift response or some kind of means of getting Africans out of Ukraine. This is something that, maybe we would have liked to have seen, those of us on the ground. Now, I know you don't control the AU. Maybe you should be in there, with the more powerful positions.
When they see me coming, when they see us coming from the diaspora, it's kind of like, oh, here they come again. But the door has to be open. Yes, we'll come again, and we're gonna keep coming. Like Bob Marley said, them I got tired for see our face, and we wear a pretty smile, and we walk in, and we carry a big stick. And that's it. But to answer your question, let me start with, first of all, the AU Ukraine thing. The AU did issue a statement concerned about the discrimination, but keep in mind, again, the AU does not have power. Every country it's sovereign, it's independent. Nigeria cannot get together an airlift for Ghanaian citizens. These are sovereign issues. With your citizenry, you have responsibility, legal, moral, and otherwise, only over your citizens. So the African Union cannot take a decision that this is what we're going to do. And again, this is why it's important for us to go to the AU website and really understand what it is that we're dealing with. You have your YouTube television show. If I say to you, Sister Shanice, it's your responsibility, because you have this YouTube show. Every day, you're supposed to be talking about this. It's not. You have a focus. You know what you're dealing with. You may sometimes go into other areas and there's overlap, but in terms of responsibility, right? Responsibility, that is quite specific based on what you have said. This is my show. How you have designed your show, the purpose, the audience, etc. Same thing. Constitutionally, the AU's hands are tied. No, that said, there are still things that can be done from our side. Okay, I want to get to know the grassroots level. Okay, on the grassroots level, if we're not organized and centralized, how do we get anything done? How do we get anything done? We have to first come together and decide what are our priorities. What are we saying that when you go back to your first question, voices heard, we want to have our voices heard. About what? About returning home, about taxes, about land access, about education for our children, about retiring for our elders, about healthcare. What is it that we want our voices heard about? You know, keep in mind, for instance, Ethiopia, the second most populous country next to Nigeria, over 115 million. You're trying to deal with so many issues. The issue of, in the case of Ethiopia, where we may have, let's say, 1,000 of us who have returned home, compared to 115 million. It's not a priority. And it's not that it shouldn't be a priority, but if we don't make clear what we want, when we want, how we want, it's not going to, nothing is going to happen. Again, I go back to the draft immigration policy for permanent residency that Ethiopian parliament was able to pass. It came from us sitting down and documenting it. Why? What's the rationale? Historically, we were taken away. We've been in exile. We've come home. This is our home. We're contributing. You know, in essence, that's what it is. But the bigger story is, if we are not trying to work with groups within our own community, in our own locations, be it London, be it Brixton, be it Brooklyn, be it Kingston, wherever it may be, how do we expect a head of state to sign on a decision to say, this is what is wanted? How does it happen? It is no different than if you're living in Gambia and you want to put a stop sign in on your street because cars are passing very fast and children can get hurt. There's a procedure, there's a protocol, right? You go to the local government, you bring the information in, 50 children live here, every day 100 cars pass. You create, you used the word before in terms of evidence. And it's a shame that we have to kind of take that approach. It's a shame that that spirit of Pan-Africanism that may have existed during the time of Kwame Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Nyerere, and of course the Majesty, where we were embraced and more seen as one, those days have now, I wouldn't say vanished, but they have diminished. But again, if we don't push it out there, who is going to do it? So forget about, oh, they should and they should and they should. You know, yeah, that would be nice, but me no want wait for nobody. Me want come home. I want safety. I want comfort. I want my birthright. I want to return by any means necessary. By any means necessary. That's the vigilance. You know, I came here with suitcases because I said, no, it's time to go. I'm now pack my container. And I came with the 4 youngest of the 10 children. You know, I mean, this is serious. You have to feel it in your bones. We cannot be armchair activists where we're sitting comfortably and, oh, this one should have this and why isn't Ghana? No, get in there. Be the change that you're waiting for. Be that advocate. Be that spirit, that force, that energy force that exists within us, especially in our case where our great-great-grandparents made it through that journey. Many didn't. Many were thrown overboard. Our story is not that story. And we were sent through a door that was called what? The door of no return, damn blasted liars, right? We have returned. So we're going to sit and wait. Did we sit and wait for slavery to be abolished? No. No, we fought. And it's not just fighting for civil liberties and the right to be free. It's also the right to protect our identity, our tradition, our culture, just as Ethiopia did. I'm married to an Ethiopian, and when I asked my husband, and he's part of the imperial family, and I said to him, why is it you think Ethiopia was never colonized? His answer simply, matter of factly, it wasn't an option.
Mhm.
And why wasn't it an option? Because the people of Ethiopia held their culture so dear, their food, their language, their dress, their hulum in Ethiopia. That means everything. Everything was so dear that they would fight to the death, sacrifice everything to protect the sovereignty. It wasn't just a political thing, protecting borders. It's protecting the very essence and integrity of the people. So we have that in our DNA, that same fight that won at Adwa. We have that same fight within us to now return home. But if we're not using that energy in the right way, it just becomes this cyclical conversation that we kind of have with ourselves to prove that, yeah, we're a Pan-Africanist because we're still saying it. And, and actually there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, because the psychological aspect of repatriation is very important, which means we repatriate our mind within the African sphere, right? That we're thinking like Africans wherever we are. However, to be practical, working with networks, for instance, within Europe, I think the network there is a Ford or a Dept. That is a network. My sister, Dr. Beryl Beekman, has been a great activist. She's in the Netherlands. And matter of fact, she's at the helm with Dr. David Horn, who is with the 6th Region Caucus out to the United States. And my firm is actually helping to facilitate a meeting that will happen here in May with over 50 diaspora Africans coming in from the diaspora to discuss the same things that we're discussing here. And where are we 10 years later? But we have to find a way to centralize and organize around the things that we agree on, because we're married, we have children, we not agree upon everything. It's just not real. Even within ourselves, there's things that's like, shouldn't I? Much less. So if we can find these 3 or 4 things that are converging interests and work towards those things, we're going to see progress. But this notion that we must agree on every single thing and we must do everything in lockstep, it's really not going to happen. It's impossible. And it's not even practical. But we have ways, if we can support. You're there, in Gambia, we've got sisters in Benin. I mean, even though we're in Ghana, we're not the only diaspora entity in Ghana. So many all over. So let's bring our voices together and share clearly what it is we want. But let's do our homework. Make sure we're talking to the right person, because if we're bringing these things to the African Union and they really have no power to make the change, then what's the use? The power lies in the member states, in the 55 member states. That's where the power lies. So if we go to our member state, be it Ghana, Ethiopia, South Africa, and you lobby within that member state, then by the time it trickles up, when that head of state gets to the African Union, he or she will then put the matter on the table. That's how we got His Majesty's and Nkrumah's statue put at the African Union. Ghana put it on the table. This is how, Dr. Julius Garvey is trying to get Marcus Garvey's statue put there. A head of state in government has to put it on the table. So let us know what it is that we're doing so we can be effective.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that guidance there, Mama Desta. So it's absolutely clear we've got to organize and centralize. And, there are countries like Ethiopia, because of organizations like your own, that is already doing the works ahead of the game, tabled policies that have been accepted. Maybe those policies need to be shared and replicated across the other 55 African countries, and organizations or diaspora groups within those countries need to get it tabled within the respective countries, and then, brought to the meetings of the AU. Let's go to the chat and let's put the question to the audience, shall we? What do we, the diaspora, want? What are our priorities? What are our expectations? what do we, ideally would want to see in a document that's tabled at a meeting with the AU. We've heard that individual sovereign member states are the ones who are going to be tabling their policies. We've got to channel our issues through those member states and through them get it tabled at the AU. I know we've got diaspora. Even though there might be diaspora representatives at the AU, they're not in a position to actually table policies. So it still has to go through, doesn't it, the member states. So at least we're clear about that part of the process, which I wasn't clear about before. So thank you so much for clarifying that. So yeah, what are our priorities? What do we want? What sort of issues would we want incorporated into policies and tabled at these really high profile meetings? And family, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give us a like as you come through the door so that the video can get out there. The more likes, the more likely it is to be picked up on their logarithms. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Right. There's some questions there being asked about a press conference that was happening. I see there's also a lot of discussion going on about Ghana's policy towards taking the juk, and they want to know if that's still a policy or not. Let's see, Kwame Ossi is saying citizens at arrival and help in the transition period. So, citizenship. So this is what he's proposing, that ought to be incorporated within a policy document that's tabled by sovereign African states for the diaspora. Citizenship on arrival and help in the transition period to help with things like land, housing, Ghana CD, etc. Okay, thanks for that, Kwame. We'll go over to Mama Desta in a little while for a response. Let's see what else comes in. Colin is saying, love and togetherness to all melanin-rich people. He's tuning in from Hertfordshire in the UK. Welcome, Colin. Sister V is saying security should be one of our priorities. How will we be protected as the diaspora if there was a problem? Very, very good question and point. Yes, they need to have some policies around protecting the diaspora. My mind just goes to Jamaica, and many of us would have probably wanted to retire in Jamaica if security was a priority for the diaspora, something that Jamaica has been talking about for decades, but has done absolutely nothing about. So let's see what else we've got in the chat. The Jamaican Junker said, Ethiopia is doing great things through self-reliance. One example is how they finance the GERD dam. Yeah, self-financed by selling stocks to Ethiopians worldwide. Yeah, that is definitely the way forward in terms of an economic policy for raising national funds. Afrijamo, Kwame, yes, my brother. I met some of the concerned doctors, lawyers, and scientists at one of the press conferences. So there's a press conference. We are at every court hearing represented. Yes, there's a big court hearing going on in Ghana at the moment. We had our brother Ras Krabia at one of our meetings recently, who's also at the forefront of a couple of court cases, one to do with the juk, you know what that is, and the other one to do with Ghana wanting to give all of its seeds, well, not give its seeds, but give over the rights of its seeds, seed ownership to one of these pharmaceutical companies or agricultural companies that work with the pharmaceuticals. Very dangerous situation. If that goes through, it's like going to wipe out Ghana's indigenous seeds. I mean, it was just absolutely crazy. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. So come on, family. Let's see what Brother Geb's saying. Rise up, Brother Geb. He's saying, if the African Union cannot help Africans, then what is its use? I'm making reference to sovereignty. Okay, so a couple of questions in there for you, Mama Desta. One in terms of the African Union. Brother Geb obviously feels they should have more power to help and assist the African diaspora, otherwise he doesn't see their use. And
can I take that one first?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so again, everything has a purpose. If we say we want to change the constitution of the African Union to make its focus not as a secretariat of the member states, it's just not realistic. You know, when the emperor and forefathers set the OAU in 1963, the purpose was decolonization of the continent for the most part. And of course, there were aspirations for economic harmony and all of that. But the most important thing was to get them free from under colonial powers. 20 years ago, the AU was formed. July will make 20 years. And the whole thing for the AU is they have an agenda called Agenda 2063. And it is focused on the continent. No. That does not mean that there should not be some focus on us, but what is it that we want? A country makes it clear to the African Union as heads of state when they come together and meet, this is what the agenda is. This is what we need. And again, the AU's role as a secretariat is implementation on a continental level. But again, can you imagine if the AU had more power than Ethiopia or than Ghana or than Nigeria or than, you know, so we have to really be clear about what the role is and how we utilize what is actually in place. Now, the African Union, where the sixth region is concerned in terms of use, to use the brethren's word, what is the use of the AU, can be a space for us if we can get CEDAW and Ecosoc really operating on the level that it should be, because that is our entry point. So what I always suggest is we must, as civil society, engage CEDAW, you see, but we can't go to the chairperson of the AU or one of the commissioners, because they're going to kick it back to CEDAW and say, this is your entry point. So are we engaging CEDAW enough? And how are we engaging them? You know, let's take some responsibility. Me personally, me not look for nobody to save me. I go and find that way and I go and figure out how, because literally our lives are at stake. Black men and Black women are being shot down as we speak. Little children in school, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, are being treated like felons in kindergarten. You know, I just heard about a case of a 7-year-old being handcuffed for having a fight with another classmate. So for me, I feel it in my bones. This is real. This is not rhetoric for me, and why I am compelled to use whatever soft power or information that can get me in there, because I don't believe in complaining. I need to get it done, and I need it done now. And it's painful. Many times, like I said, we go into the AU and they block us, and we keep going, and we keep going, and we keep going. You have a pass that you're supposed to go, and you show up and, oh, it's expired now, we can't renew. But we keep going. Frederick Douglass said, agitate, agitate, agitate. We particularly who have come through the transatlantic slave trade, we're not no crybaby. We are made of iron, of brass, of gold, and it's time for us to show that. But we must be intelligent. We must be strategic if we want to get things done, you know? So again, in terms of the role of the African Union, look at the Constitution. We can't say that they should fix this and they should do that when it's just not in their Constitution. And the work that they're doing here on the continent, for instance, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the Secretariat is also in Ghana. And essentially, Africa now has the largest trading bloc in the world, with 54 or 55 countries signing on. All right. This means goods, services, movement of people will be eventually made easier. Right now, they're still trying to work out tariffs and customs and visas and crossing borders, because we're complaining about coming from Jamaica or the US to get in. Guess what? If you're an Ethiopian, you can't go to South Africa without what they call a repatriation tax. You have to put down a bond. You have to jump through hoops. It's easy if you have a British passport to get into South Africa. So right here on the continent, we're not able to move country to country. So we can't take it personal, right? It's still the colonial mindset that we have held with the divide and conquer as to how does integration look. So we're making steps towards it with this African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And there are avenues for, again, the sixth region in terms of trading. We have castor oil in Jamaica. We have potash in Trinidad. There's different things that can be a part of the Continental Free Trade Agreement that will come on. And I must say, this is also the beginning of a harmonized currency on the continent, because it's very difficult. Banks are still beholden to European powers. You know, Senegalese, the Francophone countries, all their funds go back to the central bank, right, of France. Ethiopia is one of the few. All of our banks are local, you know, but it becomes problematic because you can't get USD, so then inflation is high, etc. But one of the quick fixes that has been introduced over the last couple of weeks to facilitate trade within the 55 countries is something called the Pan-African Payment Systems. And Africa Connect, Sister Mahalet Ayele had a guest on that spoke quite a bit about it a few weeks ago before it launched, and even offered to come back and do a few workshops or sessions on Africa Connect to see how we can indeed be a part of that process. But this payment system allows now, here in Ethiopia, we have BIR. So if there's something I want to purchase in Ghana with CD, I can transfer the money to my Ethiopian bank. The Ethiopian bank has a code that will alert the Pan-African payment system, and Ghana will receive the money in CDs. I no longer have to go get euro, get dollar, change that. So we're making steps. They may be incremental, but with all the colonial oppression that still exists on the continent, we are making progress. Tinish, in Amharic, small, poly, little by little.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We hear you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go over again to the chat and bring out some more questions. And also just want to thank our sister, Sylvia Stewart, who has made a donation of $49.99. Thank you so much, sis, for appreciating loving the works. Much appreciate love. Thank you. And also, let's see what other questions or points have been made in the chat. Oh, yeah, we had Brother Kwame, didn't we, who was saying that what we ought to be asking for is immediate citizenship on arrival, also help with things like acquiring land, housing, getting in Ghana, in the case of Ghana, some CDs. Also, he went on to say, getting help and assistance with business setup and investment opportunities. So there should be a package. Do we really need to get ourselves organized just to drum that home? I know we might say, oh, they should know this, but it goes back to what you were saying. It's not about what we think they should be doing. It's what we ought to be doing to drum home our demands so that it becomes, a priority for them. But then we've got the numbers games that we're up against as well. Like you say, a few hundred in some countries, a few thousand of us in other countries, whereas their priority as a sovereign nation is going to be to the vast majority of their own citizens.
Which is already, I mean, the budgets, especially remember, the continent gets so much aid money that ties their hands. Eritrea is probably, again, the poster child for independence and determination. Mind you, it's easier to do it with a smaller country, but they have made the decision that we're not getting any aid. We're going to stick this through and go through. So in the case of us showing up and saying, okay, we want citizenship upon arrival and a package, a house, and a this and a that. All right, now, one of the things that is causing a bit of a rift, if you will, between the continental African diaspora and even the continental Africans who are already here and us in the diaspora is this notion that we show up and we get a package. Yet still, children in Africa still need clothes, still are not getting education, still do not have access to water, still are dying from malaria. You know, a host of things that need to still be addressed on the continent that are not being addressed yet. Yet we think it would be appropriate to show up to Ghana and have a package ready for us. Okay, now let's say that that can happen, because that would absolutely be fabulous, right? But where does that money come from? Should Ghana be charging the citizens, and the citizens of Ghana, just like everywhere else, you have the small amount that is the wealthy and the masses that are struggling every day, especially now with the inflation and after COVID. So should we tax the citizenry in order to get this money? Or should we look to the African Union? This is where they can come in to look and follow up on reparations. Because the African Union, actually the heads of states passed a decision on reparation several years ago. It must have been about 2006 or 7, right? All the heads of states agreed, yes, reparations are needed. So if the AU can lobby the EU and other states, right, for reparations, then we would be able to say, yes, Ghana, you're going to get this much. Ethiopia, you get that much. Liberia. And so now we have a plan in place. But me personally, I would not want to just show up and say that. Now, possibly land. Yes, I think that's something. There's plenty of land. So if land can be dispersed or made available, much like the Shashamane land grant was made available, I think that's doable in terms of even an immigration process that allows us, when we're coming in, to be provided with even residency, you know, at first. Why I am concerned about citizenship upon arrival, Marcus Garvey said about our beloved people, some of us are no good here and some of us will be no good there. Now that's brutal. That's brutal when Marcus Garvey said that, but it's the truth, because within our society, we have folks that need to stay in Brixton and Brooklyn. They don't need to come to Ghana or Ethiopia to come disrupt the thing. You understand? Until we have a process of healing to deal with those who are afflicted that are coming home. So I think we do have to be careful, cautious, and thoughtful about this. Everybody show up and get citizenship. Every single body right now, boom, one time it goes up. You know, and again, reparations, key. This is how we deal with the reintegration. And so whether it is us lobbying our countries to push the AU, to allow the AU to implement that decision, to push for reparations, those are the kinds of things. So, you know, it takes a lot of work. It's nonstop work. And guess what? Diaspora Africa Forum, we don't get paid. We're volunteering for this. My ambassador, Dr. Erica Bennett, she's in her 70s. She cashed in 401k. She cashed in everything to build our mission over 15 years ago. Because for us, we don't want any government money. We don't want anybody to give us anything. So then they can say we're beholden to them or their policy or whatever. So it's a rough road. It's a hard road, but we can do it, and we are doing it, you know? So let us be clear. Let us be, you know, because again, if Ghana comes and says, okay, we you know, we're going to give you all of this. We want land, you want this, you want that. Okay. So how do we pay for it? What do we say to the country of Ghana? How should we expect Ghana, even if it's 200 people?
I hear you on that one, kid. I mean, some may say, you know, when we were taken out, you know, we left behind our land, the property that we would have been living in. We left behind our family. We left behind maybe any businesses that we were running, you know, and all of that, you know, got left to the country, or, you know, became part of the coffers of the country. And so, you know, the people returning are coming back to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. There is an argument to be made there. However, we don't want to rub the locusts up the wrong way either.
Right. But you said it was left in the coffers of the country. That's not true. It was left in the coffers of the colonialists. They scooped everything. Remember, independence did not come till almost 200 years after slavery began.
Yes, that's true. But we now do have back the land. So I think in terms of land, as you said, there's a lot of land on the continent, because a lot of us that were there are not there. And those of us who have been removed, you know, all of those families and all of those generations that would have been multiplying and occupying the land, we're all removed and have multiplied and occupied lands elsewhere.
That's right.
I think that in terms of how do we finance the move of the diaspora, should there be, you know, a body of diasporans who do want to return to Africa? Because maybe there is or there isn't, we don't know. That survey needs to happen as well. You know, I think that the diaspora should be seen as an investment, because I feel that the diaspora actually has a huge amount to contribute towards the development and growth of the continent. I mean, there's so much, even here in the Gambia, you know, if we were, you know, better organized, that we could be doing to help to uplift and transform, you know, this country here. But because there isn't any kind of government level way of organizing, you know, the diaspora so that we can contribute towards the development of the country, I think the wealth of skills and knowledge and know-how that we brought with us from the West, that we could, you know, obviously some we want to leave behind, but the good parts that we might want to bring and use to uplift our countries on the continent, you know, it's not being put to use. And so I think that the people would embrace us and welcome us if they saw, for example, that the diaspora were coming and organizing to help build more roads, to beautify the country, to create training opportunities, better education opportunities, you know, to improve the hospitals because doctors and nurses are coming. If they were able to see, you know, the input and the transition of skills and that we're bringing and the development that's transpiring as a result of those skills that we're bringing, they would see the value for money. They would, you know, I think then support the diaspora coming over, because they would see practically, you know, the transformations that were happening. I mean, the Wazungus, they've had, 200 years. Give the diaspora 50 years and see what we could do over 5 days.
But I want to stick a pin in that point, because Africa does want us. I have been to several countries, several meetings with the 55 states. There is not one country that has expressed not wanting to receive the diaspora. That's not what the issue is.
What are they putting in place for our return? Right. It's one thing for them to say, you know, we're not telling you don't come. But it's another thing to prepare for our return. It's like that child, you know, that it's taken away, whoops, from the house.
Yes,
It's stolen and taken away. And now you're hearing that that child is safe and wants to return, or the child of that child, that person wants to come back home. You would prepare for that child. You would prepare a room. You prepare a place. You would prepare for that child to be returned.
Right. But if you have no means, I mean, I don't think we really understand how difficult governments of the continent have it. And it's purposeful, the way colonial powers still squeeze. You understand? Imagine, we're not even trading with ourselves. Most countries that want palm oil are getting it from Malaysia, not Nigeria, where there is so much, buzu buzu ale, right? So much is there. So what I'm saying to even back the discussion is, I don't want to be valued because what I'm going to do for the continent. I want to be valued because I'm your child. You have a moral obligation to make sure. It was Malcolm X when he came to OAU meeting in Ethiopia and pleaded with then maybe 32 heads of states and said, we want to set up the Organization of African States and do something similar. And basically he was told, listen, we're busy. We're trying to get out of colonialism. We can't deal with that. And Malcolm X's response was, it's the good shepherd that goes and looks after that one lost sheep that is in the hand of the imperial wolf while he knows the rest of the flock is safe. I'm paraphrasing. This is the mentality that we have worked hard to try. First, recognize us, because it's about that I am you.
Yes.
Don't look at me as I'm coming because I have a doctorate and I'm a teacher and I'm a this and I'm a... That's nice. That is extra. First of all, recognize that I am your responsibility. I am African. I didn't ask to be taken away, and now I want to come home. Good. Let's establish that. The question, though, that I want to ask is, how many of us willing right now to give up that British or that US passport to say yes? Because you see, we can't serve two masters. And again, this sounds really hard, but this is a challenge to us. This is the only way we're going to rise. I don't want to sugarcoat anything and jump on a bandwagon that I used to be on 20 years ago. Give me this, give me that. Me want this, me want that. Me expect. I don't expect nothing but the morality. Recognize me. Like I said, I could be a little pauper. I could be a housekeeper. I don't have nothing to add to Ghana or Ethiopia, but I'm Black. I deserve to be recognized. I deserve to be brought home. That's the first thing. Second things, in terms of, again, to me, land should be easy. But what is the process? I land at Ghana airport and then I've given us a land. Okay, here's your lot. It's on the... Let's be honest.
That's what the Europeans did when they came to Africa. They said, that's exactly what they did. They created the laws, they carved out lots for themselves and just got on with it. But we're tying ourselves up, it sounds like, in a lot of their red tape. But before we go on...
But that's the point. We need to get rid of their red tape and create what it is we want. That's what I'm saying. We're still looking to them to give. So even if we want a policy of citizenship upon arrival, and this is the package, let's put it in the package and present it. How do we see it happening? Where in Ghana do we see the land? You understand? I mean, we have to do it. If we're going to sit down and depend on them.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. We got a policy maker in the house. You know, let's hear from the group what we want and who's going to help us develop that policy, and then let's see what we can do to table it to the 55 African countries. My sis, it's already we've been at an hour and a half. I know we said it was going to be an hour, but so I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I'm just going to quickly run through a few points and questions and comments in the chat, and then you stop me when you're ready to respond to one or two of them, okay? All righty. Thank you, family, everyone in the audience that's contributing to the discussion. Let's bring out what we've got here. So Abini saying, yes, it is our birthright to return safely to our motherland. The good, bad, and the ugly. Bottom line is those, oops, hang on, I've just lost it. Sorry. Bottom line is those who want to return should have that right. Okay. S.A. Smith is saying colonization is still holding the puppet strings. Yes, I want to be seen as the lost child and not as an investor, even though I would hope Africa benefits from my arrival. Thank you for that, S.A. Smith. Kwame saying, why doesn't DAF organize a seminar with the RIPC to give the diaspora in numerous investments and business opportunities in Ghana? Sylvia is saying,
who is the RIPC? What is RIPC?
Please qualify that for us, Brother Kwame. Sylvia is saying, yes, exactly, Sister Shanice. They should get ready for us. It is a mindset. Yeah, we've got that. That's a work that needs to be done within the education sector, isn't it? Because they've done a good job on us. Colonialism did a good job on dividing us. And now we've got to do a good job of reuniting us. And it starts in the mind. Jay is saying, we need our family back home. We have to make it easy for them to return. Afrijamo, yes, is agreeing with something that Delroy said. What has Delroy said? Delroy said, we don't need the country's money, just land and residence or citizenship. Okay, yeah, that's a great start. And we can take it from there, absolutely. Abini saying, even up to 2015, our parents, stroke grandparents, and ourselves paid the slave masters reparations. How unjust is that? For real, for real. Sister Afrijama says, why don't we come with our pounds and dollars and help the locals? There are still children in village schools sitting on the floor learning. No desks, no chairs, trust. Yes, we can come with our pounds and dollars, and I'm sure we would when we come. Absolutely, Sister Shanice, it was stolen from us without our permission, which is why the government in Africa and the Caribbean should demand reparations to right the wrongs. S.A. Smith, I do not think it should take a long time, though, to get citizenship, maybe 2 years or so, in my opinion. So lots of comments. I would like to go over to you now, my sis, and apologies for running over time, but let me give you the opportunity to kind of wrap up and, tell us how we go forward from here. A great idea about maybe a summit or a seminar or a meeting of some sort. We could organize that with yourself, Sister Marley, and others. And also, I know you want to tell us about the new Diaspora flag as well that you've got flying behind you. We've got a flag, family. In case you didn't know, we've got a Diaspora flag that was launched a little while ago. Yeah, there it is. Woo, woo, woo. The Diaspora flag. Please do tell us a little bit about the launching of that flag as well. Over to you, Mama Desta.
Thank you so much. And really thank all the comments and suggestions and questions, because all of them are right, because they're coming from the point of Africans yearning to come home for various reasons. And again, this is home. This is home. So those of us who want to come home, there should be provisions in place. Again, what works in Ethiopia, the draft policy we wrote for Ethiopia cannot be used in Ghana. It would have to be adjusted. Similarly, South Africa and other regions. So we have to be careful that we're not making the same mistake that foreigners or colonial do. They're looking at Africa as a country and not a continent with different interests, different laws, different policies, etc. So that's really important to understand. Where the 6th region flag is concerned, through the Diaspora Africa Forum and a host of elder mamas within the diaspora community, both in Ghana and within the diaspora and even on the continent, this flag was developed. It was developed by a Ghanaian And it represents, again, you've got the 5 regions and you've got the 6th region right on the outside here in the west. We've got the colors, the green, the black, and the gold, which are the prominent colors on this particular flag. And so it's symbolic. It will be flying at the secretariat on April the 4th. Again, symbolic. You know, Bob said them, I got tired for see my face, can't get me out of the race. Even though we're not at the table, we're pushing and agitating for this flag to fly everywhere that an African nation flags flies. You know, so you can at least remember that we are there. Third thing, in terms of organizing a symposium or what have you, as I mentioned before, a group of diaspora organizations will be coming to Addis Ababa in May, from May the 23rd to May the 28th, to hold 3 or 4 days of meetings on the 10th anniversary of the Global African Diaspora Summit. This is where many of these things will be discussed. What progress has been made? What countries are moving forward in terms of integration of the African diaspora? Benin is one country that we should also mention. They're trying to do stuff to bring their diaspora. I think they just initiated a Queen Mother for the African diaspora as well. So things are happening small, right? Let us continue to pull our ideas together. If we're saying that land and at least residency are the 2 important things that we need as Africans coming home, let us find a way to express that clearly, definitively, and even how that process would look. Because again, if we're going to sit and wait for Ghana, Gambia, or whoever to figure it out, it's not going to happen. And in the meantime, those of us who are on the ground, we have to make ourselves invaluable. When I came here, we set up a thing that for over 5 years, we took care of children that lived on the street. We fed them every day. We sent them to school. We bathed them. I mean, every day, 100 children a day. These children are now adults, and many of them are part of the society. Sow your seeds wherever you are. Sow your seeds, you know, and that will speak for itself. This is how the Diaspora Africa Forum has been able to even make some of the steps that it has been able to, because again, we're not asking, we didn't ask permission from the AU to do this flag. We advised them, and we gave them a copy, and we've shared it with them, but we're saying, see we are. See we are, and this is what we do. And so again, through Ambassador Bennett, we've been able to help facilitate investment into Ghana and into Nigeria. So we have a track record, you know, since it come in, like, you can't just see me for who I am. I look like you, I sound like you, I eat what. If that's not good enough, fine, I'm going to show you what we do. So this is what it is. You know, we can't keep sitting down and waiting. And once we come home again, let's have those success stories. And those success stories don't necessarily mean that we go in with $1 million and we built roads or whatever. The fact that we're trying to educate children or get them off of the school floor by getting benches, it matters, because one of those children could be the next head of state. Let us endear ourselves with the people and stop the sort of us-them mentality, because I'm telling you, it's causing a problem. The us-them. I am African. I don't business when nobody wants to say. I am African. Yes, I know what exists. And when they see me coming again, they'll say this and they'll say that. And, oh, you know, you were a slave and what. I know who I am. So it don't matter what you call me, is what I'm answering to. So we all have the power to be change agents. We don't have to sit and wait, but we have to come together. We have to pull all our energy, our efforts together, so we can come home where, again, our safety is secure. There was a question that was asked before about the AU providing safety for Africans wherever we are. Not sure how that would work. Again, anything that we want, if we say we want to buy a bottle of milk, it requires a process, right? You need money for the milk. how you go and get to the store, which store, is it organic milk, is it cow milk, is it goat milk, is it soy milk? Everything requires a process. And if you want it, own it. Own the solution. Don't wait for nobody.
Don't wait.
We do.
We'll be waiting forever. It is. Okay, so a couple of people are asking, where can they get the flag from? Someone's also asking, why did we need a separate flag? Haven't we been separated enough from our brothers and sisters on the continent?
A separate flag meaning what? I don't understand what that means.
Why is there a diaspora? Yeah, someone's asking, why is there a diaspora flag?
Okay, it's not a diaspora flag. It's a 6-region flag that represents those of us in the diaspora. And Africa has 5 regions. Each region has a flag. And each region consists of 10, 13, however many sovereign nations. So we're basically following that same. This is not divisive. It's representative. It's symbolic that we, just like the 5 regions within the continent, our region matters. Black lives matter.
And where can they get the flag? Should they want to get one of these flags?
Okay, I will send the information for you. I don't have that here with me at my fingertips. I think I may have actually sent you some information, Sister Shanice, before the show, but I will make sure that I send that again for you so you can share it with me.
I'll post it. Yes, I'll post it underneath this video, in the description under the video. So look out for that, family. Okay, we've got to wrap up. Let me just have a quick look. Kwame, did you tell us what that abbreviation was? He said, if you want to know about land issues in Ghana, listen to Ghana in Focus podcast on the various podcast platforms. Tells you about land registry, land title, etc. Okay, thank you for that. Did you give us, tell us what the acronym was abbreviated for?
RIPC.
I just want to say, Africa needs military for the whole continent too, for its own protection, also for those returning home, to not feel like returning children who cannot be punished in some form by the West. I've probably read that wrong. Africa needs military for the whole continent too, for its own protection. Also for those.
The AU has an army. There's an African Union army that consists of the forces of all member states. So that is something that's there.
There you go. There's something there. Dora saying, I don't want to hear no more excuses from the government or the people. It's already 2022 and we are discussing the same nonsense. Also, why should we give up our passports we can use for our benefits? So Dora believes we should have dual citizenship as well. Afrijama, it is our birthright to get our documents and be integrated. But those who want free land, free money, free this, free that, may I beg or no stay away or no there. I got Sister Afrijama. Yeah, Bibi say, yes, it's our birthright to return home safely. Yeah, thank you all for your comments. I think, my sis, you've got the sentiments of, what our audience is saying. And our audience is primarily people of the diaspora, some on the motherland already, some thinking of going, and some, I suppose, commenting on what the situation ideally ought to be like to facilitate our return. But what is clear, and you have made clear for us this evening, we thank you so, so much for that, is that it's down to us. We need to organize and make our voices heard. So we know the job that we've got to do. And there's an event coming up in May as well. We need to look out for that. When you send me the information, I'll also post that in the description box. So people have got the link to that. And And
I want to say one quick thing, Sister Shanice, is that we have to move out away from the them and us thing, because I am the audience. I am the one that came through the door of no return, dropping in Jamaica, educated in America, found my way back. So there is no difference between a brother or sister that said, me want go home, me want citizenship, me want, there is no difference.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest blockages that we have. Let's stop that, them and us, and go on like we's not the same and we don't want the same. We really have to stop that.
For real, my sis. Thank you for clarifying that. So, Mama Desta, it's been an absolute privilege and an honor. I thank you so much. It's been such an enlightening discussion. If we weren't clear before about how we, could get our voices heard at that level, you have made it clear for us today. Thank you as well for paving the way, for sharing with us the examples of the great works that you've been doing and the great works that we could be doing as well on the continent and even from wherever we are in the world. So thank you so much. And we do hope that maybe you'll take up
but thank you for those shoulders that I stand on, because we're just part of the process. We just come along the other day. But our ancestors been fighting from this for the minute that they took us and put us on those ships.
Yeah, true talk. Yeah, absolutely. And we remember, those ancestors of ours that went before, that paved the way, who, thanks to their determination for freedom, why we're free today, had they decided that they wasn't going to be fight, they weren't going to put up a fight, all my days, we'd still be in shackles and chains. But today the fight is to free our minds now from that mental conditioning and mental enslavement. And we've got to do that. So we certainly hope that you will maybe consider the suggestion that we have our own summit or our own event around this, so that we can have some further discussions about how we can formulate some policies and table them in the respective countries, because there are many of our people now going backwards and forwards, and many are moving, but we're doing it on an individual basis. But as you said, we need to organize, because organization is where the power is at. So everyone in the audience, to all the Africans in the audience, wherever you are in the world, we rise you up, up, up. Thank you so much for being in the audience. Please do make sure that you comment under the video. Just put a few words in so that people know what this conversation has been about, to encourage them and entice them to actually watch it in their spare time. Thanks to all of you for your comments, and please do join us again next strong. We've got our brother Andrew Mohammed. For those of you who know him, he's fire in the UKKK. Yeah, we've got the privilege of having him on the show next strong, so please do join us. Mama Desta, more love, more power, more strength to you, and more voodoo. One love.
Give thanks, Sister Shanice. Bless.
Give thanks. One love. Sister Shanice out of here for now. Be black next strong.